Thank you for the announcement. His company, Coughlin Associates, consults, publishes books, market and technology reports, and puts on digital storage-oriented events. He's a regular contributor to Forbes.com and M&E organization websites on storage and memory. Tom has a BS in physics and master's in electrical engineering with minor in material science from the University of Minnesota and a PhD from Shinzu University in Nagano, Japan. He is the past chair of the Santa Clara Valley IEEE section and past director of IEEE Region 6. He is a fellow of the IEEE and winner of a 2020 IEEE MGA Leadership Award. I'm happy to note that Tom is a candidate for IEEE President-elect this year. To know more about his vision, what he wants to accomplish as IEEE President-elect, and offer your support, please visit www.tomcoughlin.com. It's one word, TOMCOUGHLIN.com. Now over to Tom Coughlin.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much, Krishna. And thank you for inviting me to come and talk. So I'm going to get my, let's see, I'm going to share and then get my presentation going here. And my voice is okay, right?
Yeah.
All righty. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. And so I've got a talk here which involves, so part of what I've done in IEEE is I've been involved in many different organizational units. And I've also been pursuing my own career as well. And I'm going to sort of provide a mix of things that the IEEE has and some of my own experiences in the IEEE and how I think it's helped to further my career, and maybe give some ideas and suggestions, and again, sharing some of my own experience here. So let's see. So I see IEEE, that one should think of it as your professional home. So like your family home provides you with companionship, connection, encouragement, and it satisfies a lot of your personal needs. But you know, we're also professionals and involved in technology, either academic or in industry or even the government. And I think we need a professional home that can help you stay on track in your career and help you to develop yourself and advance yourself. And IEEE is the largest professional technical organization in the world. And it has close to 400,000 members worldwide. And that means you've got a potential of connecting with a lot of different folks from a lot of different places. And it can provide you with valuable resources in addition to keep up to date in your field, learn new information and skills, to publicize and let other people know about what you do, and to connect with others in your field and learn about other fields as well. And learn about career opportunities, and even do things that might help to protect your livelihood and satisfy your need to give back and contribute to those in need. There we go. Okay, so there's a lot of career-oriented resources within IEEE. IEEE is you know, has a membership is enormously important in the IEEE, and there's a lot of resources that IEEE has that not everyone knows about, but that if you do know about them, you might be able to take advantage of them. So some of the things I'm going to talk about are some of these resources in the IEEE. Some of them may apply. There's some of them that are U.S. specific, but there's other things that apply, you know, wherever you live. And the talk will explore ideas on how to leverage your membership to promote and enrich your career. And also, again, as I said before, some comments on my personal IEEE experience over time. So technology careers are evolving. They're rapidly changing. You have a multidisciplinary world, and undoubtedly you'll be moving from company to company, even from industry to industry. So being able to be agile and to have the ability to develop yourself is going to be important, because there's a limit on the loyalty of a singular employer to an employee nowadays, just because the relationships can be so short. You may have connections with people you meet at a company, but the company itself, those will likely change. Also, unless it's basic physics, which changes a bit slower, changes in technology and the applications of physics and other principles requires continual learning and continual experimentation and use of new tools. But the value of core skill sets are changing. So you need to, in addition to the hard skills, the technologies and that sort of information, it also can be very useful to learn or refine your abilities to work with other people, to get stuff done. And so those soft skills of working with other people can be as important, especially as you go through your career, as your knowledge of technology. And as you develop, you need to become broad as well as deep, deep into your subject, but also with maybe understanding how it relates to other things, analogies from application of a particular technological approach in one place to another place. These things are all important to develop and give you a greater value to those who might want to work with you. And being part of a professional engineering organization may also result in higher pay. Actually, when I was president of IEEE-USA, we had there was a study that was done that looking at IEEE Bureau of Labor Statistics on people who were in fields that would likely be the kind of people that would join the IEEE. And then we also had surveys with IEEE members. Actually, in those surveys, it seemed like there was a significant difference in the pay of people who were members of the IEEE versus that general population of people in our fields. This is in the U.S. So, maybe it helps. Maybe in some indirect way it helps in terms of getting more out of your career financially. There's also IEEE is a unifying organization, and they can support an individual for their career. So you're responsible for your own career development, and IEEE has resources that can help you. And there are things related to career development they've got that are become increasingly important in uncertain times. There are people who were displaced last year, by industries being impacted by the COVID pandemic, for example. And something like IEEE may be able to help you out in terms of getting more connections and giving you resources to help you. And they have training, webinars, ebooks, magazines, proceedings, conferences, and a lot of other resources that can help you keep up to date in your field. And also, I think for the IEEE, as I said before, and I firmly believe this, a lot of the value of IEEE comes from its members, enormous amount of it. And your support by the IEEE will help us to grow our membership and our value to those who are members. And IEEE can help you develop your personal career support team by being part of a community of similar interests that can help you when you need it. So those are some of the just framing ideas of what I see here is things that IEEE can help you. On the other hand, it's a quote from John Lennon: "Life is what happens to you while you're making other plans," right? Is that you think you're going to be doing something, but other things come along the way. So it's a common experience. It certainly has been in my life, and probably in almost everybody else, that things will not necessarily happen the way that you thought they would happen. And you have to continue living and get on with that. So IEEE, again, can support your career, and you kind of look at it almost as think about it as yourself in your career is your entrepreneurship opportunity. You're selling you, you're developing you. You are your business, and you kind of then see that you as a person in your career are a startup, and you want to become a mature business. So there's a bunch of different resources IEEE can help. They have things that get to, say, high school kids with Try Engineering. There's a conference I was involved in starting called Rising Stars Conference in Region 6, for example, that pulls in young professionals and students and exposes them to interesting ideas and developments. And then there's there's VOLT program, there's leadership training programs in the IEEE, which can help you learn about the IEEE, but they also can provide insights into ways of working with other people to get stuff done. There's also webinars, ebooks, conferences, and publications that can help you to learn stuff and gain things. And then as you get older in your career, as you become a mature business, if you will, you can give back to others and help them. And by the way, that also increases your connection to the younger folks who are the folks that are creating the new industries, the new businesses. So it gives you a connection into that, which you never know what may happen from that as well. So was there a question? Okay, so again, looking at kind of like your own life and career as a business strategy. If you look at what a business might look at, what is its market? Okay, and the equivalent for you might be, what's your area of expertise, and that may change over time. What's your sales plan? Okay, and for you, it's what's your brand? How will people know or associate you with things, what you can do? A company might look at its development plan for new products. And for you, how are you developing yourself? How are you making yourself a better product for working in the market of human beings? Production plan, a company may have a product they want to manufacture. For you, part of what's going to make life worthwhile, of course, is some kind of a work and life balance, some relationship. How do you keep your relationships while you accomplish other types of things outside of that as well? Then a company looks at, what is my return on this? Am I getting value back from the effort I'm making? So the financials and ROI, return on investment. And for you, it's how are you investing in your future, and how will that help you? And then customer service is something, maintaining customers. And for you, it's going to be, how do you get feedback on what you're doing? Positive criticism that can help you to become better. So IEEE has a lot of opportunities, I think, it can help you with your career. For academics and researchers, that IEEE publications and conferences are pretty valuable. Societies and councils are also important. But another very important part of IEEE for everybody, I think, in my mind, is activities at the local section and chapter meetings. For technologists working in the industry, IEEE magazines may have more practical rather than academic-oriented stuff. Some conferences may also have things that are more related to getting stuff done. IEEE standards have a great value to industry. Societies and councils may have industry engagement activities. And again, those local section and chapter meetings. And these local sections and chapters are where most IEEE members interact with the IEEE. Some people get involved in the larger societies and that sort of thing, but a lot of folks, it's going to meetings, local meetings, interacting with folks in this place where they live, essentially. And for technologists, also governments and other things, some IEEE standards may be important, some publication and conferences, societies and councils, and again, that local section and chapter meetings. And there's other opportunities that span across these. Sorry, go ahead. So here's some particular things that I'm going to go through that I think can help, and IEEE opportunities that can help you with your career. And again, essentially creating your own business plan, for all those steps we've talked about. They include IEEE volunteering, career development tools, classes, things of that sort, continuous education, resources for learning soft skills. IEEE actually has job listings and job services. They have an entrepreneurs program. They have a consultant network. I've actually been a consultant for the last 20 some years, working in digital storage and memory based in Silicon Valley. And I've been a member, and actually I'm a member of the board of the Consultants Network in Silicon Valley, for example. There's discount programs. Most of that's in the US. I think there's some things that are elsewhere. There's opportunities. One thing I think that you should definitely take advantage of, partly because it helps. A lot of us, are shy by nature. We tend to be bookish people. That's how we got into technology. And learning how to speak and learning how to write, I think, can become very important in developing ways for meaningful communication with other people. And so opportunities to speak and write, I think they're available in all different levels in the IEEE. And there's also opportunities to network with others and create connections with people at the section, region, and international level. So let's take a look at each one of these opportunities and talk about it. So volunteering, becoming an IEEE volunteer, I think, can show your coworkers and your bosses your commitment to your career. It can also help you learn important lessons and how to work with other people that go beyond the technical skills that you learned in school. the people skills you can learn as an IEEE volunteer then can serve you in your daily life. And effectively, you're getting them, by helping other people to get stuff done. None of you getting paid. If you can get people that aren't getting paid to work with you to accomplish things, that's a pretty good leadership skill. They can help you develop that. For instance, you can learn how to explain your ideas better to others and learn how to listen to others better and work with them to decide upon and implement upon agreed upon goals. So, and there's various types of volunteering activities that are available. There's things that you can do, K through 12, STEM education, diversity, inclusion activities, employment, career services, public policy committees, in the US at least, standards development, chapter, section leadership, society leadership, and then various conferences and publications, for instance, being helping to organize a conference or being a reviewer on publications, for example. There's also in your local section, again, I think the section is such an important part of IEEE. Local sections are often very hungry for volunteers to help out to get things done. And they will oftentimes have a number of possible volunteer opportunities: chapter officers, section officers, a student branch officer, or you can offer yourself as a volunteer for section activities of various sorts, for instance, being a webmaster. And local IEEE sections often have chapters, local affinity groups, for instance, women in engineering, young professionals, life members, the Consultants Network, for example. And they're often looking for volunteers as well. In addition to being an officer, sometimes you can just help out by finding a speaker. Finding one speaker a year is actually a pretty valuable thing to do for a local section chapter. And IEEE graduate students, as well as the higher grade members, can also be officers of local chapters and can even be elected as section officers. And to get started, just contact people in your local IEEE section that that are doing something, and just indicate to them, I'm interested, and offer to help. Maybe tell them a bit about skills or abilities you may have that could be of assistance. And as you spend more time working with other IEEE volunteers, you're going to learn stuff. You're going to learn things about working with other people, but you might also find out about other volunteer opportunities that can come your way, and even business opportunities. My own career, I've actually, developed a network of people I know all over the world involved in technology areas. And it's led to jobs. It's led to work that, consulting gigs and things of that sort that I've been able to take out of that. So, these things help you in terms of your personal development, but that also, again, you are a business, helps you translate that into your own business development as well. There's resources out there also for becoming a better volunteer, or, more knowledgeable, able to do more things because you know more about how IEEE works. There's a Center for Leadership Excellence, which is been created by the MGA, Member Geographic Activities. It's part of IEEE that relates to membership in the local sections and chapters. And they have resources to help IEEE volunteers in the Center for Leadership Excellence. They include role descriptions, volunteer role descriptions for officers, its section, chapter, and student branches. And they also talk about they have training things as well that can teach you about various things that be important as a volunteer. There also is, for those who have some demonstrated experience as an IEEE volunteer, and they're sort of an up and comer, they can be nominated to be part of the annual volunteer leadership training, or VOLT program, that IEEE puts on. And it's a member and geographic activities, again, program that prepares IEEE volunteers for larger leadership roles. There are local IEEE units and beyond. And it's designed for active volunteers with at least 2 years of volunteer experience who are seeking an in-depth knowledge of the organization, its structure, and its resources, because that's what it goes through. And IEEE is kind of complex. It's got a lot of parts. And so it helps to know a little bit about the structure of the thing, to know where you might find interesting resources or common interests and that sort of thing. And if you're interested in participating in VOLT, you can contact your local section officers, let them know of your interest. And a certain number of people from each region can get selected to become part of an annual VOLT program. And there's information online about the VOLT program at this URL at the bottom there. So another thing about volunteering, it can be used for us to build each other's careers, to create interesting content, share knowledge, and that sort of thing. But it also could be a way to give back to the broader community. A lot of issues that humankind faces can probably have technological solutions, or at least part of the solution is a technological solution. And there's a lot of IEEE humanitarian activities that you can get involved in. There's the IEEE Humanitarian Activities Committee, HAC, is an important source of some of these activities. They have project events and conferences, and they also sponsor special interest groups for humanitarian technology projects, and even local site chapters. And these are often trying to do application of technology for humanitarian purposes at the local level. And they can get funding, for instance, from the IEEE Humanitarian Activities Committee. So it's a way also of giving back to the outside as well as personal development, and giving back to others is actually a part of personal development too, I believe. There's continuing education and developing yourself. There's a lot of career development resources in the IEEE. There's IEEE Learning Network, which is part of the Educational Activities Committee. Also, IEEE-USA has various ebooks, webinars, and other tools that can help you develop, for instance, soft skills, that kind of thing. There's other materials offered by Educational Activities Committees, standards, or technical societies and councils. There's an IEEE job site, their IEEE Entrepreneurship, the Consultants Network, and then the discount program. So I'm going to go through these and just give an idea of how these work. Let's see. So IEEE Learning Network was created within the Educational Activities Committee, but in combination with other parts of the IEEE. And the basic idea here was to create educational materials, like actually, if you will, short courses, online courses, that one could take to get knowledge of and certification in the various industry areas. So it started maybe about 2 years ago. There's activities in the Internet of Things, power in energy related classes, but the plan is to expand this much more and create a broader learning network. Again, borrowing off of material created by other parts of the IEEE, but being offered in a consistent package through the IEEE Learning Network. So it's worth checking that out to see if there's anything there that might be useful to you. There's also various careers for professional development. IEEE-USA has a lot of things like this. I'll go through some of those. But they have a magazine, e-magazine called IEEE Insights. It's a free online publication. Is there a question? It's got articles, for instance, from industry experts weekly. And the topics typically cover leadership, skills development, and more. When I was IEEE-USA president, I used to write a blog. I wrote a blog every month for go in the Insights magazine. There's a URL there if you're interested in getting a hold of that. And even if you're not in the US, you could still get access to this information. And then IEEE-USA has ebooks, which are available for free to all IEEE members worldwide. There's more than 150 titles on various things covering topics, a lot of soft skills topics like careers, communication, public policy, and more. And there's even a comic book or a graphic novel that's available in IEEE ebooks. There's a picture of that off to the right there. Here's an example of some IEEE-USA webinars earlier in 2021. As you can see, they're covering a lot of topics on if you will, career skills and how to get hired, how to do interviews, various things of this sort that it can be of use to you perhaps, and worth giving a listen to, especially since these are free. Here's examples of IEEE-USA webinars on career and professional development from the Career and Professional Development Committee from last year. Again, there's a lot of interesting resources here. And in particular, this last year, they had a number of COVID-specific webinars on career and professional development, especially with people who were impacted, financially impacted by the pandemic, for example. So again, there may be useful things there, or certainly worth looking at. Also, there's various career tools in the IEEE. There actually is, IEEE-USA has a number of these, and I'll talk about some others. There's a IEEE-USA salary survey, which every year members in the IEEE-USA are asked if they would fill the salary survey out, and allows members to benchmark their salary and benefits against engineers nationwide. If you take the survey, you can have an opportunity to use that survey to check it out, for example. IEEE members who have lost their jobs get 5 free uses of that salary calculator, and there's the link on that. There also, for those that are running their own consulting business, there's a consultant finder, and they actually have a consultant survey as well that I participated in. That you get the consultants then get access to see how, for instance, what they're charging compares to other people maybe doing similar work to them throughout the country. And members seeking consulting gigs can upload a profile and make it easy for companies and clients to find them with this consultant finder. There's a part of this bigger IEEE-USA Consultants Network activity. There also is a IEEE-USA resource page for unemployed or at-risk members. That's could be useful for people who are in that situation. IEEE, the larger IEEE has an IEEE job site. A lot of people don't know about this, but they actually get over 13,000 unique visitors per month, about 45,000 page views per month from all over the world. So, if you're looking for career opportunities, various sorts, whether academic or in industry, this may be an interesting resource for you. IEEE also has a entrepreneurship group, which is putting on resources and events related to entrepreneurship. And it's one of the approaches to try to engage more industry members into IEEE, which I think is something we really need to do. We need stronger connections to industry in order to make it viable and practical. And I know in the Santa Clara Valley, there's a colleague of mine, Joseph Way, who has created a local Santa Clara Valley, Silicon Valley entrepreneurship group there. And I think there are some other places, other sections in the world where people are doing that as well in order to try to connect entrepreneurs into IEEE members. And, entrepreneurs hire people, they create new businesses. So again, another way by getting involved in things like that, that you can find new opportunities and ways of breaking into new areas, or maybe ways of, if you're lucky to find something that pays off really well and sets you up. Here's a little more information on a consultants network. The consultants network, most of them are in the US. There are some consultants network outside the US. It was started by IEEE-USA, and they're in Santa Clara Valley. We have a consultants network in Silicon Valley. I'm a member of that. I'm actually on the board for that. And we have, for instance, a profile. People can find you through your profile, for example. I have a website as well, but also I've got a profile. You see it here on the Consultants Network as well. So that can be another resource for advertising yourself, and in this case, your business and what you do, and getting people's interest. IEEE has a number of discount programs. Because of its size, IEEE membership can give volume discounts on a lot of products and services. They include shipping, computers, software, insurance of various sorts, as well as some vision and health services. In fact, back when I first started my own business around 99, 2000, I had just gotten laid off by a company that went belly up in Silicon Valley. And so I decided I'd start my own business. The Cobra health program was more expensive than what was then offered as a group health program from IEEE. And as a consequence, I did that. And the savings I had more than paid for IEEE membership in that case. Now, they don't have those healthcare programs right now, but it's just showing that there's value in these things that can be a resource for you. And especially if you run your own business, some of these things can be very helpful. Now, getting into some of the things that IEEE offers that can help you to create your brand, to create awareness of who you are, which can lead to new opportunities, lead to people wanting to talk to you, and find out what you think about things, and could lead to business opportunities, gigs or business opportunities. You never know what could happen. And whether you work for yourself, run your own company, or work as an employee for others, you need to find ways to stand out. And that's this concept called branding. And and you're looking for ways that people can identify your capability, identify you and your capabilities, and sort of associate them together. And you need, it's important for each of us to think of ourselves again as a kind of a business, personal business, and you're creating your brand. And that requires letting other people know what you do and that you're good at what you do. And IEEE can give you resources to do that, to build your brand. These include public talks on topics of interest to you, for instance, at a local chapter meeting. Writing for IEEE publications, including magazines. And some IEEE magazines are much more practical oriented than the journals, for example. Working on various IEEE committees can be a way for people to know what you do, people who may be influential in that community. And then general networking at IEEE events can be a way of promoting your brand and letting people know what you do and helping people out, providing ideas and suggestions to them. So opportunities for speaking in the IEEE. So if you've been involved in a business and industry at all, you've probably developed some expertise in things that you know that other people don't know as much about. You can educate them and also let them know what you know. And if it's allowable for you to do that, developing talks on various topics that relate to things you know and providing insights and information that would be of interest to others has a great value and can help to increase your visibility. And your local IEEE society and council chapters are often looking for people to speak on relevant topics. So volunteering to be a speaker could be a fairly simple way of getting an opportunity to do this. And if you're doing some really interesting work and you develop your speaking skills, and this work fits into some activities in an IEEE technical society or council, there's even opportunities to become a distinguished lecturer on that topic. In my own case, actually, I was involved in the Consumer Technology Society. I'm actually a member of a number of different IEEE societies. And I gave a talk. I'd written a book on digital storage and consumer electronics, and I gave a tutorial at a IEEE conference on that one year. And then I ended up, they asked me if I wanted to be one of the distinguished lecturers. And so I gave a talk all over the world on digital storage and consumer electronics related talks. So it was a great experience, really interesting. I learned a lot. I got to meet a lot of people. Actually, a number of the talks ended up being the basis for forming a chapter. It's like the first talk of a new chapter, like in Greece and some other places, or rejuvenating a chapter. So it can be really a rewarding experience to do these kind of things. And you learn a lot, and other people learn about you. And there's a lot of other opportunities in IEEE to give talks on topics and activities. There may also be webinars or podcast opportunities in your field you might be able to participate in outside or inside of IEEE. And then, if you're worried about your speaking skills, you might even consider groups like Toastmasters or some other groups that can help you develop your skills as a public speaker. And actually, I did that for several years. Actually, it was when I was in high school. My dad was doing Toastmasters, and he got me to go in there. I thought it was kind of hokey, but is there a question? But on the other hand, I think it did help to develop some better speaking skills and get rid of some bad habits. And also, there's opportunities for writing in the IEEE, and it's another important skill to get your ideas across to others and increase your visibility and brand. You might write write papers for journals or practical pieces for magazines, for example, in an area you know something about. You might even try your hand at writing a book, like I did. Everyone's got a book in them. It's just squeezing it out. So that takes the work. And there's other opportunities to write blogs for various websites or magazines, and I've been involved in some of that myself. And the more you write, the better you get at writing. If you try, and also help with your speaking skills, because speaking and writing can be very much related together. And again, this combination together can help you further your career, increase your people's knowledge of you, increase your ability to communicate with others, and to make things happen. Oh, sorry. And last thing, one of the last things here is this idea of networking and collaboration. And networking and working with others, of course, can lead to lasting connections that can help future jobs and increase your brand. And I personally have had this happen with people I've met. There's one colleague I've met through Ireland. He's in Ireland, rather, and he was involved in technology. Actually, had started a company and sold it to a U.S. company, which he was still working with. And he helped me to get a gig doing something with that company, for example. Just one example of how some of these connections can help you out. And IEEE offers many opportunities to network with others. Local chapter meetings, again, I think are so important. Bigger conferences and webinars as well. And for me, this has been one of the biggest benefits of being an IEEE volunteer is this networking and collaboration. I think I've met many folks. I've learned a lot from them. I've found problems of the way I'd approach stuff that I could fix, by means of interacting with other people, and could generally be a way for improving yourself, and also be aware of new developments and potential work opportunities. So just some last words here before I see if there's any questions is, as you gain in your experience and abilities, as you become this mature personal business, being a mentor for others, and you don't have to wait until you're really old to do this, but being a mentor to others and providing guidance and suggestions can help them in their careers, can be very rewarding. It also can be a way to stay connected and tuned in on the latest developments, because the younger folks are where that's at. And if you can keep that connection up, it could be very valuable to you. And you also can be a resource to those people based upon your own experiences that you've had. And again, I think IEEE should consider that as your professional home. And a professional home should be a place where people can share their experiences and observations, and where members can go to ask for advice, feedback, and if possible, help. And I think being engaged with IEEE gives you an opportunity to be involved with activities that first of all, technology creates wealth. Okay. It creates things that never existed before, and opportunities that never existed before, new opportunities, and it can make a real difference to the world. Unlike a lot of other professions where people are splitting up a pie, we create pie, and not just the number. We're creating the new technologies that create new wealth, new opportunities. And I think it's important, as human beings and part of a professional community, that we help the next generation of technologists to achieve even more amazing things than we were able to accomplish for the benefit of us all. So with that, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. And by the way, here also is my LinkedIn link if you're interested in connecting with me. I'm very much open for questions, and I'm going to go off sharing so I can actually see your faces again. Thanks, folks. Any questions? I haven't had a chance to look and see if there's comments here.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, so there was double muting here. Okay, thanks a lot, Tom. This is a very interesting overview of all the opportunities and resources available through IEEE. And I have a high-level suggestion. We've been exchanging some ideas by email.
Mhm.
One of these suggestions is, well, given the scope and the breadth of these opportunities available through IEEE, in my opinion, one of the barriers is it's not as well publicized as some of the so-called professional career networks that I was alluding to in my email.
Yep.
Second barrier is IEEE membership is not free for most folks. So what I'm thinking is maybe there's a way to come up with a simple application, or maybe AI-based toolbox, if you will, that allows you to enter your profile and where you are in your career and what your overall interests are. And it might come up with, based on your own profile, it might come up with suggestions, ideas that exploit or take advantage of all the opportunities. And you say, okay, well, you should do this. You should consider taking that class because the world or the technology is evolving in that direction. So is this something that we can even consider as a possibility in the future at IEEE?
I like ideas like that. I actually think we should, I think, for instance, IEEE publications are threatened, the business model is threatened somewhat by open access, for example, that there's a lot more publications that, people aren't going to pay for to be able to look at. There's a big trend in that direction. And I think the answer for, both for that business issue, but also for attracting members, is we should be using some of these technology tools that our members have helped to create, artificial intelligence tools in particular, recommendation engines, looking at connections between people, looking at, say, and with the publication side, I'm thinking there may be ways that we could, we've got this huge pool of published information, and also these data port and big databases of data and things of that sort. Could we find ways of trained models that could aggregate all this information and make suggestions? In other words, not just raw information to try to interpret it, but try to make more connections between things. So I think we could do more of this both at the personal level for our members, but also at the professional level to help people to better utilize the information that's out there, to give them tools that can help them to make better decisions, to find gaps in knowledge where this much is known, what's the stuff that's not known in a particular area. So where there might be useful things to look at or things to be discovered. I think there's some really useful applications for artificial intelligence capabilities to make IEEE better in terms of the member experience, but also in terms of the basic products that IEEE offers to the outside world.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Tom, there are a few students here, and what is one thing that you want them to take away from this?
We want you to become IEEE members and stay with us. We need you. So, IEEE was created by, it's a combination of a couple different groups that came together. There was a radio group, and then there was the electricity and electronics group that came together in the 1960s. Those two groups were joined together. But it's founded by people like Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Edison, for example, who are very practical technologists. And whether you as students go into industry, is probably many will, or into academia, I believe that IEEE can offer you a resource that can be your professional home in life. And there's so much uncertainties in professionally nowadays. And I think being part of a professional organization like this, particularly if we can create tools that can make it more useful to you, which I believe we should, could be a real resource to you and to help you to stand out and stay current and stay employable and have an edge on those who aren't members.
Thank you, Tom. Any other questions, KG?
So yeah, I think you touched upon the current open source model and how IEEE's model is a little different. I've been a user of most of the papers myself while I was in grad school. But once I get out of it, I had to get beyond the paywall to get it. And I certainly believe that there is a cost to everything. One suggestion or a recommendation, or if whatever it might be, I found that after some time, we should have some way of expiring this paywall and say like something later than 20 years of papers can be accessible for free. I found like a lot of good resources that are old but are not read by a lot of people today. But some of the AI technologies today we talk about had all the math that was developed from 60s, but it was not well researched or maybe searched. I just have this request, if that's possible, we can have some sort of this openness after some time at least, so that it is accessible to a lot of people. I certainly believe there is a cost of maintaining this, and someone has to pay for it, and that's a different question. But this is a different request from my side.
Sure, and I think you're talking about the regular transaction publications, things of that sort. However, I will let you know about something that not a lot of people know about. There's a whole bunch of old free books in the IEEE, PDF versions of books. And if you go search for it, IEEE free books, old technical books, there's a bunch of them that you can get for free on a lot of different topics. So it's something worth looking into, for IEEE members. So
that's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've actually looked at that. There's a lot of basic stuff, some of the original works, things of that sort, which, as you point out, basic seminal sort of things that are useful to know. You can actually access those. Maybe not the journals and publication, but there's a bunch of these books that you can access that I think is kind of interesting. And I could see that for older content, maybe it's after 20, 30 years or something like that, you make it either very low cost or no cost, to access it. It makes some sense. The other thing I thought about would be interesting is, could we find some way, ways in which we can provide additional incentives for people to volunteer for things? What if you volunteered and served a position, you could get some credit that you could use, like IEEE bucks, if you will, that you could use for services or publications or, things like that, or maybe even a discount in your membership, kind of interesting. And also an incentive for people, additional incentive for people to get involved. And I think the real value people get from an organization like this is when you engage with it in some way. What you can do depends upon your life situation, how busy you are at work, things going on with your family, etc. But just being engaged in some way keeps you in there, keeps you part of it. And I think that's so important, that being part of a group like this can give you that bigger focus, that it's more than just your own life that's going on. It's other things that are happening as well. And you're still tied into that. You're tied into a bigger trend, tied into a bigger revolution, that of using technology to make human lives better, to help us to find new opportunities, to solve problems, to create resources and access to resources that never existed before. One of those is, we stand on the verge of becoming an interplanetary species, able to access resources throughout at least our solar system, and what is that going to do to us as a species? What is that going to do, to our need for technology? It gives us, enormous opportunities for new resources, new environments to work in, new things to discover, and new things to be able to use to solve problems that mankind has have. And also, as Elon Musk has pointed out, if you're sitting on one rock, you're kind of a target. And if we're in more places, we have more a means of surviving and being able to deal with things around us. So there's huge things that are going to be happening, and I believe organizations like the IEEE should be part of making those things happen, and of developing the people that are going to be moving mankind forward.
Thank you, Tom. Other questions? Anyone else?
One question. In terms of networking opportunities, is there a facility in the IEEE to look at other member profiles and kind of initiate a connect request or something like that?
I think
like LinkedIn is.
Yeah, well, there's something called Collaboratech in IEEE, and I think that has that kind of capabilities. So, I don't know if you played with that or not, but it does have some capability of connecting people, within the IEEE, and even there's some people use that for collaborating on projects of various sorts. So there are some tools within IEEE, and of course there are tools outside of the IEEE as well. I've done where I've gone through LinkedIn and just searched for IEEE, and I find people that are involved in IEEE, because they put it in their profiles and stuff. So there's some research within the IEEE, and then, if you do clever searches, you can find them outside as well. I think we could do a much better job of helping people to connect with each other, though. Much better job. And I think this could be applied to things like, one of the things I believe is we need to make it easier for people to become senior members. There's this thing called senior membership, and the requirement for senior membership is essentially you've done 10 years of something useful, right? And there's so many IEEE members that satisfy this criteria, but I think especially in industry, the requirement to get a senior membership is you have to have 3 senior members or fellows who will write a nomination or endorsement for you. You can self-nominate, or one of them can nominate you, but you have to have 3 of these people. And finding those 3 people seems to be one of the biggest difficulties for folks to become senior members. So creating some larger database, within sections, regions, or just IEEE as a whole, people who are willing to help other people to become senior members, I think could help a lot of folks. And by the way, people that get recognized for stuff they do tend to feel more connected to an organization, and they tend to stay. So, I think there's a lot of things we could do that help us connect better with each other and help us to recognize each other for the things we've done. And by the way, also in doing that, of course, then you meet somebody new, you got a new connection, might be an interesting person. So I think that there's a lot of stuff we could do that allow us to better interact with each other as members. And I very much believe that IEEE should be doing that kind of thing. IEEE is a member-led organization. Members create enormous value for the IEEE, and we need to find ways of if we want to have members, especially younger people, remain members, we need to find ways of making IEEE useful to them. And part of that's going to be using modern technology to be able to do the kind of things that we ought to be doing, which is the networking and connection, collaborations and things of that sort. So I fully believe that we should be doing that kind of thing, and also creating easier ways for recognizing each other and celebrating our heroes, if you will.
Other questions? If not, Krishnan, you want to, as a host?
Yeah, thank you. Tom, thank you so much for sharing your vision, your ideas, and your experiences with the audience. And we all appreciate that. And we also want to wish you very good luck and success in the upcoming election. Then I've included, your website information is included in the speaker intro.
Mhm.
And you probably have if you have other information or other updates to your candidacy, let me know, and I can try to share this with this audience or other audiences as they come up.
Sure. And if people are interested in connecting with me and finding out stuff I do, IEEE and otherwise, I did put my LinkedIn profile. Just look up Tom Coughlin Storage on LinkedIn. You'll probably find me. And then I also have tomcoughlin.com is my website, and I have an IEEE/IEEE page on there as well if it's of interest to people.
Great. And then Shanta requested if you can also share the link to the talk that you gave last week.
Well, I was looking for it. It may only be available to the Global Semiconductor Association members because I don't find a public link on it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. But I do a lot of storage and memory stuff. I'm all over that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for attending. We'll wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
for inviting me.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.